Action!
Hello everyone, welcome back to Pixel Viilage and I am Radha Krishnan. Well, from the recently concluded CEIF 2023 in Mumbai, it was very evident that the thrust is going to be on video. Photographers are going to, in much larger number, are going to pursue cinematography, filmmaking, because the developments are now happening in the direction of filmmaking, because the still photography cameras have come to most probably, I think at about 60 plus megapixels and 32 frames a second, and all those have probably come to a point of saturation, and the biggest sales now will happen from improving the video capabilities of the camera. Now, well, that being the case, and many photographers are becoming cinematographers, and they all use these hybrid cameras predominantly for wedding photography. There are a bunch of photographers and filmmakers wanting to become or wanting to do filmmaking in a professional way. In this video, we're going to be looking at one such product which will help you to improve the cinematic look of your video, your films. Well, before we actually introduce the product to you, a little bit of a backgrounder. I've been producing television commercials in the 2000s. Well, there were not too many hybrid cameras available at those times, barring a couple of Nikons and, of course, the most famous 5Ds from Canon. All our filmmaking used to happen with the big cameras like the Vericams, the Aries, and the Reds. Now, projects where our clients could not afford big cameras like the Arri Red and all those cameras, we used to make small videos using our DSLRs. And our understanding of filmmaking using the big cameras really helped us creating better looking videos too. DSLRs in those days, of course, it's history. Nobody shoots videos with DSLRs. Now we all use mirrorless cameras, but the challenge more or less is the same. The biggest challenge, in fact, is following the focus. The still photography lenses are not really geared to follow focus. It's designed to get you to a focus as fast as possible, shift of focus from point A to point B as fast as possible, give you great contrast and sharpness and all that. That's exactly opposite to what a film requires. So during the time when our clients used to ask us to shoot small videos, like I was mentioning, we acquired compact cinema lenses called the VDSLR lenses. Video DSLR lenses, of course. DSLRs are slowly on its way out. Now we have these kind of lenses available for your hybrid mirrorless cameras too. The biggest advantage in comparison to this lens is that this had a much longer focus throw. It had a gear pre-cut onto the focusing ring, and also it had standard filter size. While doing a headshot like this, it's perfectly okay. But what if you have to shift your focus from point A to point B to point C in a repeated fashion? Well, I know what you're thinking. Your camera on a gimbal or a slider follows focus very easily, right? But not exactly. It's perfectly okay to watch those kind of videos on your, let's say, on your computer screen or a mobile. But most of these cameras tend to keep hunting focus in its autofocus mode. Whereas these kind of lenses, you can actually lock onto one focus and it doesn't budge till you force it again to move that position or move from that position. We used to use a manual follow focus device. So these cameras used to get mounted on a proper rig, and using this gear aligned to the gear of my focus ring, I could focus pull or rack the focus very conveniently. if you want to create a little better image and you want to concentrate and you want to give your undivided attention onto the visual and not worry about racking focus yourself, of course you can hire a focus puller, but if you want to do it a little more creatively, you have this new device which actually magically add some fizz into your filmmaking. And it's incidentally called the MagicFIZ. What we have is the basic version. It's available in a slightly, more elaborate version as well. We don't have it, but this is how it comes. Very well packaged, and let me take it out one by one. This one is the wireless hand wheel controller. Second one is wireless receiver motor, which sits on the camera gear. And then you have the hand grip adapter. Then you have a rail, it actually holds the rail. Then you have a power adapter plate for the receiver motor. And of course, you have some focus point marker. And yes, a USB cable and two adjustable focus ring gear for in case you want to work with lenses which do not have this gear on it. Yes, this is a 15-inch industry standard rod for mounting the receiver motor. Very good, very well made travel box. Let me keep this away. Well, still photographers, transmitter and receiver, it's very, very familiar, right? It's like, transmitter and receiver for your audio device or transmitter and receiver for your flash control units. This is the transmitter and this is the receiver. Very simple. All you have to do is to switch both on. Make sure that both are working in same channels and you're ready to go. They are paired instantly. Now, this has this rotor. The moment you turn this rotor, this will make a proportionate amount of movement on the other side. Basically, pull the focus ring using the gear. So let me mount this and show you how it is put into action. So we are all set to demonstrate the MagicFIZ. First thing, the AB point follow focus racking. Now before that, a couple of words of caution. First, never misplace this leaflet. It's also available as a PDF download, but keep this handy in the box itself. It's very important because it's got lots of small information that if you're not using it regularly, you are likely to forget it. Hence, you need this. Okay, that's one. Second is that the mounting rail that came along with the box. This actually goes on to a cage. We don't use cage. We don't have a cage. So I've not used it. Instead, I've used a traditional base plate, which takes a 15 mm rail. And our models are ready. At point A, the closest possible focusing point is Shikari Shambhu, and just short of infinity is Nandu. All right, and I'm going to switch on a light here, which will light Shikari Shambhu here. Now, as you can see, this light is kind of flaring in, and for which we usually use a matchbox. This again is from SmallRig, a very, very efficient, very cost-effective, nicely designed clip-on matchbox. It takes two 4x5.65 filters here. That's how professionals work, and here we are trying to work like professionals. And yep, so my light is here. Now I'm all set. Okay, first thing that I have to do is to calibrate. When I say calibration, it means the system, the MagicFIZ, will try to understand the minimum and the maximum focusing points of the lens, for which I need to use the mark button and keep it pressed and confirm again, and it starts doing the calibration on its own. Now that the calibration is done, okay, this is the minimum focusing and this is the maximum focusing. Okay. Now the automatic calibration is done for lenses which has a definite stops at minimum focusing and the infinity. Okay, but the modern lenses, like autofocus lenses, many of them do not have a hard stop. So for such lenses, of course, you're going to use the ring, right? And you're going to visually going to tell the machine or the device the minimum focusing distance and the infinity, so that it pulls focus perfectly. So that's another exercise that you have to do if you're using an AF lens without hard stops. Since we are using a professional VDSLR lens, I can do the calibration automatically. Now I need to set two focusing points. I need to tell the device my focusing points. A is going to be Nandu and B is going to be Shikhari Shambhu. And I'm going to make use of this monitor. This is also a recorder, and I'm going to activate my focus peaking so that I can take help with visual help. What I have to do is to short tap the mark button, go to point number A. The moment I achieve that, I press the mark button once, then I quickly move to point B and I tap B. So what has happened is my point A is Nandu, and this wheel will not go beyond that. And point B is a hard stop at Shikhari Shambhu. So it's very simple. Let me record this. Okay, we are at point A and point B. A and B, right? So this is how you can actually pull focus between A and B. Now what if I have Nandu slowly walking towards the camera and I want to follow the focus, for which I have to actually mark his points and also mark here. So I'm going to go to the first point. I'm going to make use of a marker pen and I'm going to mark the first starting point. Okay. And can you quickly run and mark the floor? All right, quickly. Okay. So this is very important. Okay. That's how, if you have to repeat the shot, when Nandu walks back, he can walk back to that particular point. Okay, Nandu. Now slowly start walking towards the camera, slowly. Okay, and stay. Yeah. Okay, this is Nandu's second point. Okay, now Harsh, can you mark the floor? All right. Okay, marking here. Okay, now Nandu, walk closer and come and stop here. All right, to your right, and that's your next point. Okay, this is my final point. Okay, you can mark that as well. Perfect. All right, Harsh, clear the field. All right, so Nandu, you can walk back to the end, to the first marking. Perfect. There you are. Okay, when you are ready to walk, okay, so we're going to walk now, and I'm going to follow his focus using the wheel. All right. Okay. Action. It was supposed to be a small review of SmallRig, but it took us 3 days to finish it because of the busy schedule of our photography and filmmaking academy. Oh, that reminds me that I have to tell you that Pixel Viilage Creator Academy's 2023-24 admissions for photography and filmmaking diploma classes are open now. I'll add all the link and the telephone numbers which you can use to contact our students' counselors for assistance. Anyway, nevertheless, I hope the video review was very helpful. We enjoyed creating it. I think this is an excellent device as a starter kit for someone who's embarking on their professional cinematography filmmaking career. The product is very well made. Both the motor and the control, the hand control, are brilliant, very well made. We never had to charge this device. It is going on still that original charge we did something, 4 days back? Yeah. So I don't think that's a big problem. Everything that is needed for a beginner, of course, is here in this box, except that you will have to buy a cage which is suited for your camera. Of course, SmallRig sells cages for almost all popular hybrid cameras and almost all popular filmmaking cameras like Blackmagic, etc. Now this motor can also be used in the traditional way, can attach to the motor, correct, using this grip adapter. The grip goes here very comfortably. It's a screw mount, and this end can be connected, clamped onto the bottom of the receiver motor. That's where the battery plate was attached, and you can use it like a traditional, focus pulling. Except that I am not really very happy about the fact that it's kind of has become heavy, too heavy on one side. But yeah, I mean, that's another way of using it. Except that the motor needs to be then powered from an external power source or from the camera, as and when the camera allows you to do that. Okay, now this device also works very differently with some select Canons, Sonys and Nikons. You can also trigger the record button from the control wheel. There is a record button here, which is also your on-off button for the control wheel. You can actually trigger the record. I'll add the list of all the compatible cameras in the description, which means you can actually trigger the record using the record button here. Of course, the record button also doubles up as the on-off button for the hand grip. While this is an extremely useful device, let me also caution you a couple of things that you need to keep in mind while rigging the camera. Because this motor is a very torquey motor, it can actually move the whole setup if you have not gripped it properly. Okay, so make sure that all your joints are nicely tight. In a DSLR mirrorless kind of a setup, usually the culprit is the base plate. So base plate tends to kind of shift around and it will make movements, and the movements will be visible in your shot. So be very wary about that. So two things that I have to tell you. Also, we really enjoyed using the mini matchbox. Very useful. Let me keep it here. It comes in a very nice box, and yeah, a very nice. This is called a French flag. Very nice. It's got many adapter rings. Just make sure that it works very well with small lenses. If you have a long lens, make sure that you have a lens support as well. Otherwise, the whole setup will become front heavy, and you will not like the way the whole system or the whole setup start kind of moving around. So, like they say, with more comes more responsibility. But isn't that filmmaking all about responsibility and discipline? I think it is. Enjoy. Bye for now.